happens when you do get drunk. Intoxication interferes with the CNS ability to analyze sensory information, resulting in typical symptoms of being drunk, such as disturbed balance, slurred speech, blurred vision, and heavy sweating. Alcohol also interferes with sleep movements. The toxicity of alcohol can irritate the stomach, causing gastritis, chronic stomach upset, often resulting in retching and vomiting. It can also make you very violent, causing murders, car crashes, etc. If you didn't already know what happens when you get drunk, now you do. Teens also get drunk a lot because they don't have the strong intoxication problem thing that most adults do, so it's really strong as them. And then teens are also usually more violent when they get drunk. And if I were a person wandering in a park and I saw somebody drinking alcohol and I had kids there or something, then I would be scared for that, because how many alcohols do you think that person had? Do you think they were drunk? Do you think they were okay? It could be scary. Maybe they had a gun on them. Maybe they would shoot somebody. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manis. Rochelle Stenger.
Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Rochelle Stenger. I am a 10-year resident of Victor, Idaho. I grew up in Oregon. I was at one time in my life a drinker. I don't drink now, but I don't have anything against alcohol. But I would like to speak about alcohol in the parks. I did some research, and I was hard-pressed to find any parks in the United States that do allow alcohol. San Diego does not allow any alcohol in their parks. Chicago does not allow any alcohol in their parks. New York, absolutely. It says on their thing when you go in to get a permit to use their parks, it says absolutely no alcohol in any New York parks. Also, Seattle, no alcohol in their parks. The state of Connecticut, no alcohol in their parks. New Mexico, no alcohol in their parks. There's also countries all over the world that do not allow alcohol in their parks. The UK, Canada, Austria, Germany, Hungary, India. Now some of these do have permit only, for events and things like that. And even Finland. And some of these are more progressive countries that you would think would allow alcohol in their parks. The thing that I read that made the most sense to me was that in the UK, they said that the reason they don't allow alcohol in the parks is not for responsible drinkers, but for drinkers who are irresponsible, who tend to ruin the fun for everyone else. That's all I had to say. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Grant Thompson.
I'm Grant Thompson. I live in 94 North Agate. Been here a while. I'm opposed to open container drinking in the parks. We did have a program so that we could have music on Main and some operation over here at the skating rink, and I'm not opposed to that on a special occasion. Here's the reasons that I think you need to consider. There's a tendency to change the relationship between citizens and government. The other thing, the main thing I'm opposed to in this is the decisions on whether they get a permit or not will be given by non-elected persons. There's a concern for the safety of children and minors. There's a tendency to cloud the line between right and wrong in this world today, and I don't think there's any of us that doesn't know the difference. It's whether we're willing to stand up for it or not. Intoxication can lead to rape and other immoral and unlawful acts. Please let reason, not passion or politics, influence the council's decision on open containers of liquor in our city park. That's why we have the US Constitution and other state and local laws, is because some people get carried away with passion over what's right. And who will patrol the parks and enforce the new ruling if it's changed, if it's allowed? And the other thing is, why did this change come up in the first place? Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Connie Kearsley?
Thank you, Councilman and Mayor, for letting us have this moment to be able to express our views. I too am against drinking in the open container in the parks, because I can see where a lot of damage can come. And as a mayor and as a council, you guys don't represent just a small nucleus here in Victor. You are representing and you are passing something that will affect everybody in this valley. And it doesn't matter the religion, it doesn't matter where we live. It matters that you are going to affect everyone here because of this ruling, and it can be to a great detriment. Last time in our meeting, it was mentioned that, are we afraid of the boogeyman? No, we are not afraid of the boogeyman. We are afraid of the realities of what can come. Have you ever gone down a highway, and then the second one on to the accident, and you go to the car, and there are 4 young people that are dead? Have you ever gone to a youth party, and a group gets in a car, and they go down the canyon? Hits the shoulder of the road and overturns. The car rolls, and it burns. He walks away, the driver walks away. 3 are burned. 2, after a few hours of intense pain, is able to leave this world. The other one is so disformed and disfigured that her hands will be claws the rest of her life. And when she enters the room, we turn our eyes away from it because of the distortion of her face. It's not a boogeyman. It is a reality. And these are the things that can come and happen if these kind of things are allowed in our community. We have the sign of the city of Victor, a town to come home to. What do we want to come home to? What kind, do we want the safety? Do we want the integrity that can be here and that is here at this time? Or do we want to destroy that because of a few that wants to make a change? We celebrated the 100th celebration for the city of Victor. Wasn't it good enough? Everyone that has come for a reason. And usually they'll say, there's a special feeling when we enter the valley. Do we want to destroy that? Do we want to take that away so that it's not here anymore, that there isn't that safety? Where's the sign that says we believe in health, safety, and welfare? That was what was here last week, but I don't see it, 2 weeks ago, but I don't see it on the wall now. I think it's important that we consider what we've done and what we're going to do, and realize that it has an impact not only for this generation, but for the future ones that are coming also. And there is a quote that says, "It is not our job to toughen our children up to face a cruel and heartless world. It is our job to raise children who will make the world a little less cruel and heartless." Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Susan. Melanie Markham?
Hi, I'm Melanie Markham. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I was born and raised here, actually. Lived here all my life. When I graduated from high school, I couldn't wait to get the heck out of here. And I moved to Denver, and then once I had children, I realized what I had here. A family-friendly community, and I couldn't wait to get back. And that's what I want to see happen here. I am opposed to the alcohol ordinance because I realize that there is a difference between people who drink responsibly and people who drink irresponsibly, and I think it's important to know that. But I also feel that once you open the door, right now we have a line drawn to allow irresponsible to make it so irresponsible behavior in the parks cannot happen because the ordinance as it now stands. If we remove that, we are opening the door to the irresponsible use of alcohol, and then how do you police that? How do you draw the line between responsible and irresponsible then? That is my concern, And I would like to see the ordinance remain as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Trish Scalia? Scalia?
Trust me,
Sorry.
nobody says it right. That's why I dropped it.
Six little letters, but we can spell it, but thank you for having this meeting. I've been a resident here 20 years. I can't quite say I'm a local. They say you gotta wait another 5. But I want to say that it is the only place in the world, and I've traveled extensively, that I feel safe enough to hitchhike here. And I have hitchhiked due to a car breaking down. And I've had grandmas and grandpas pick me up. I've had skiers pick me up. But it's the only place that I feel that sense of community, that sense of values. And I am against the open container law. And it is, I just feel that you're ripping some of those values away by allowing that. And also the one that you tabled last week with the sex ordinance that we're not here to talk about, but I hope you also let us know when you're gonna talk about that as well at another time.
That, just to clarify, so everybody hears this, if you've read the article in the paper, we want to make that more restrictive. So,
Okay.
I just want everybody to know that was why it was tabled. We thought that the state was, the state law covered everything. Please stop your time, so that we're not taking your time. And we saw that there was a bit at the end of it. It reads kind of like a narrative, but there's a bit at the end of it that restricts it onto Main Street. We want to try to further that. So, just so we're clear on that.
Okay, well, that is good to know. I just feel that it is too close to the schools and the library. These kids need a safe place to go. And as it was clarified last week, I want to, and I quote, maybe paraphrase, I want to be able to go to the park to have a kid's birthday party and have alcohol as well. Well, who's the party really for? Why can't they have it in their own backyards? Why do they need to come to our city parks? And Mr. Mayor, you said when you were running you wanted to have transparency in your office. And yet, if it wasn't for several people in this community letting us know in a day and a half about the first meeting 2 weeks ago, you would have ramrodded this ordinance through without very little public opinion. And I really resent you taking that liberty without. It is the will of the people, not the will of a few small core within this community. And I also hesitate to even thank you for the survey. I feel you threw us a bone. I couldn't get back past the second, I believe it's the second question, where it says, which park would you like the alcohol in? The city park or the Pioneer Park? Is that the finish? And there was no place for me to say none of the above. It was an assumption that I would want it at either place if this went through. No choice for us to be given none of the above. So you're going to get very lopsided results. And in conclusion, you say that, maybe this happened last week, I left a little early, that you did not, it wasn't appropriate or professional to have undercurrent comments if you disagree, and I agree with that. But I do take resent when your board snickers and texts during the time when these people are talking. It's rude, disrespectful, and illegal. Thank you.
Jennifer Cook, please.
Did everyone get all of this?
Yes, please.
Nobody's had this. It's just, it'll,
You don't have to.
I'm reading the sign. Okay, good evening, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak to the council. I am Jennifer Cook, and I come to you as in the capacity as the principal of the Victor Elementary School, representing the Victor Elementary School in Teton School District 401. First of all, I'd like to say that I have to express my disappointment to the council in their lack of communication to myself as the principal of the Victor Elementary School. who is actually on the same block as the city park. When this ordinance came up, I was not informed or given any kind of communication. As the governing body of the city of Victor, you have within your capacity the opportunity to demonstrate how it is to be a community that works together, and I felt left out. I would have to give you a very dissatisfactory grade on your communication skills. Secondly, I would like to ask the council if you've considered the impact of the open container ordinance that it would have on the Victor Elementary School. If so, what has been your conclusions? At the Victor Elementary, we have experienced only negative impact from music on Main. 2 of these negative impacts have been vandalism to the school and littering. It's concerning that my staff and the students spend their Friday morning recesses cleaning up their playground every Friday because of the events that occurred on the Thursday night before. I have to tell you that this litter consists of food wrappings, food, beverage containers, cigarette butts, condoms, and even beer containers. Some of these beer containers are not all in one piece. They're broken all over the playground. Some of these beer containers are still not emptied. Another question I have for the council is, have you considered the long-term impacts to our elementary students? Just last month, we had the opportunity to go over and use your grandstand as our Olympic stage for our academic medal ceremony. And several times during the warmer months, we like to make use of the park for other outdoor activities and even our outdoor classroom experiences. Have you considered that you may possibly be compromising the safety of our elementary students? In conclusion, I would like to thank you for this opportunity to speak and to hear from the public. It is my sincere hope that this event is not a mere gesture of patronizing the opposition.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. Landon Kaufman.
Landon Kaufman is my name. I'm here in opposition to the proposed amendment to the alcohol ordinance. I grew up here, and I greatly enjoyed the family values and sense of community that was here and is still here in part today. I moved away for several years, saw the other side of life, decided that was not what I wanted to raise my children in, and we came back for that reason. It says up there, the municipality of Victor exists to promote a safe and welcoming community. If we allow this ordinance to be adopted, are we upholding that statement to be a safe community? It's my fear that we're not. My children, ages 10, 9, 7, and 6, go to the park all the time. That's where they want to go. That's where they want to play. That's the place that needs to be kept safe for our kids. We should not allow this to decrease the safety of our children. By doing so, I fear that bad things could happen. Not saying that they're going to happen, but they could happen. It's my right as a citizen of this community, as a taxpayer, one who pays utility bills, to state my opinion and say that I think this is a bad thing. I'm not against, people having the right to drink. They can do so in their own time, and there are public places for that already. I don't think the park should be one of them. Again, for reasons of safety. Okay? We need to keep that a safe place for our children. Not only for my kids, but for your kids, for kids of the community, kids of the valley. Let them have that place. they're constantly bombarded by various pressures on any given day in their life. That needs to be one place that they can go and actually be a kid and not have to worry about dangers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coffey. Brent Park.
My name is Brent Park, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I just wanted to voice my opposition to the same alcohol ordinance that you're proposing. A lot of people sometimes have the misconception that rules and laws restrict our freedoms. But the opposite is really the case. Our Constitution and the laws that we follow are really there to keep us freer. I come from a family who has had alcohol abuse in the family, and it is not a pretty picture. We need to continue to provide places where children can go and families can go, where they're not afraid of those kind of abuses. And I understand that there are a lot of people who can responsibly take care of their alcohol, but as has been mentioned several times tonight, there are a lot of people who cannot. I spent a couple of years in a South American country where alcohol is very freely used, and down there the violence because of alcohol is a tremendous tragedy, and I don't think we want to go anywhere near that in our community, because I, as well as some of these others, feel very safe here, and we want to continue that. I was one of those who watched a high-speed chase last year as a result of some alcohol from Music on Main that went right by my house at I don't know how fast, but that was a very dangerous event. And it wasn't that long after Music on Main. It wasn't at 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. It was directly after. But I, again, just want to voice my opinion of opposition for the safety of our community, as our Victor City statement tells us. I think we should stick with that statement closely. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Park. Thomas Simmons.
Thank you for having this meeting. First of all, I agree with what everybody has said so far. I totally disagree with open container for the school, for the public library, for the safety of our children. My daughter goes to Victor. She will be walking to Victor next year, at times probably by herself. We are actually in the process of getting, we have land in Victor. We're going to be building our office this summer, hopefully, and we will be living above our office. We will be going to the city park. We won't have a yard, so we will be going to the park to play. And I want my children to feel safe. You can't guarantee, I mean, you can say that everybody will be responsible drinkers. But you can't, how can you guarantee that they will be responsible? You can't guarantee that. You can say that those of us that don't want this aren't being tolerant, but what about those that do want it, that aren't being tolerant of us, that don't want it? I don't think that there's respect for those that, respect for us. I have tried, I try to keep my children away from it. I don't take them to bars. I mean, there's a reason why the children aren't allowed in bars. So why are we allowing them to have beer in parks? So, thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Kendall Jolly.
Can we shut that back door? We just did. There isn't that door sound back there. No. They must have the older people that can't hear, so. Okay. First off, we have not had a formal public hearing on this. This is a big topic, and I think it is part of your responsibility as the city council to actually have a public hearing on it before you proceed. The other day, I had a friend showed me a video off of the internet, and there was this group of people trying to make money. The guy says, I've come up with a great plan. He says, we're going to take two great things that everybody loves, and we're going to put them together. Everybody loves kids. Everybody loves beer. We're going to make kid beer. We're going to market it to kids. And they're debating back and forth. Isn't there some legal reason why we shouldn't do this? And it's like, no. You know, if there is, we'll just throw all the money we make at it, and we'll stop it that way. And another guy, you know, they're in their 40s. He says, you know, what about being ID'd? And one guy says, you know, I haven't been ID'd in years. They just were making all these excuses. Now, some things go good together. If you take chocolate and you take peanut butter, who doesn't love a Reese's? Okay? There are some things that go good together. Alcohol in the parks does not. Now, on your Title 23, Chapter 10, Section 1007A, you have a point I can very well see about the duplication from the state. Very much so. There's always scenarios. Now let me give you one. Let's say the skinheads decide they want to come down here, reserve the park, and have a party. And they meet all the requirements from the state to sell alcohol. You have lost that ability to say, we do not want this group in our community, or in our park, or doing this. Or maybe it's somebody that's just tends to be violent. So I understand that part of it, but something to think about. Don't get rid of your ability to control what goes on in our homes. Okay, chapter, the one that doesn't go good with me is Title 4, Chapter 1, Section 2B. Nowhere do they allow hard liquor open container. Nowhere. There's no other park. There's no other city. It is nowhere. You do have to have some restrictions. Everybody I've talked to on this, they're really, and even last week, or whenever the last meeting was, not one person that was for it said open hard liquor. They said beer or wine, and the other worry I have about broken bottles. My kids promised. They said, I won't play in your backyard if you won't drink in our park. Thanks for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Jolly. Janine Jolly?
Thank you. I'm not sure 3 minutes will be enough to cover all of this, and this is only a fraction of what I have. I've read through the proposed changes many times, and really the sticky point, I think, for many of us is that all types of alcohol will be legal at all times in the parks unless they are specifically noted. So that means all parks within 200 feet, what I understand to be the doorways of school property. Is that right? Is it school property?
It's the 300-foot state law is from the doors, but the 200 feet is just from the building itself.
200 feet from the building itself. 200 feet, I can throw a rock that far, and I suck at baseball. So we have Pioneer Park, Main Street Park, the Sage Hen Park, Community Gardens, the very expensive new depot property, all bike paths, and even the city building, right now, as your ordinance stands, being fair game for drinking at any time. These things have all been verified with the city attorney, my friend Herb, for yesterday. I can have a keg party for my birthday party for my kids if I want to. Right now, there's no limit on how many people constitutes a small party. Although I hear that there's going to be some modifications, we don't see those. So unless we see them, I don't believe it. agree that we need to have a more transparent government. Believe me, as a member of the hospital board for the last 4 years, I have heard it. I have heard it all. But what you have shown us is not an example of a transparent government. What you have shown us is a group of people, bless your hearts, who for one reason or another were going to ramrod something through 2 weeks ago. And were very willing to do it. And were in fact encouraged to do so and berated for not doing so by some of the very ones who have been our former leaders in this government. That makes me ashamed for the city of Victor. I'd like to echo and appreciate what Jan Cook said as the principal of our Victor Elementary School. We all love our children, but I think some of us are willing to go farther to protect them, based on what I'm hearing from this ordinance. I'm glad our principal told us how our kids see it. Thank you. I'm realistic enough to accept that you may not want to live the way I want to live, but people who drink alcohol are not always responsible. Alcohol is a regulated drug for a reason, and open containers 24/7 of any alcohol have no place in our public parks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jolly. Gloria Kimball.
I am Gloria Kimball. I live in Victor's impact zone, and my husband and I have vacation rentals. First, I'd like to object, as others have, to the survey question about asking in which of the 2 parks in Victor we'd like to have alcohol. And the answer, as many of you have commented on, was not, there was no possibility for saying neither of these parks, none of the parks. I'm opposed to the changes you want to implement into the open container ordinances that we now have in Victor. We need to try to preserve a safe and decent environment for our children and for families and for youth groups and others who want a place to socialize. I've seen what alcohol does to people's self-control and inhibitions, and that doesn't always involve what you call excessive drinking. Sometimes only a drink or 2 can cause certain people to go nuts. I was extremely offended, as others have stated as well, by some of the things that were mentioned, and I'd like to talk about a couple of them. One gentleman passionately stated that he should be able to drink alcohol anytime, any place he chose, or else his civil liberties would be violated. I couldn't help but wonder if perhaps he'd like to come into my yard, or how about on my front porch, to exercise his so-called rights. Another person at last week's meeting suggested that if we didn't like alcohol in our city parks, then for our children's sake, then we should drive our children to another park. How about those of you who need alcohol in order to have a good time driving to another park, or stay home, or go to a bar or restaurant where this is acceptable? There was a belligerent and arrogant attitude here last week, and it seems to be prevalent with those people who wish to have the ordinances changed. Don't you get it? People come here because this has been a decent, safe, clean environment. You might look at me and say, what's this old lady got to say about anything? But I grew up in this valley when it was a wonderful, clean, perfect place for children to grow up and learn good family values, good people values, to care about what your neighbor thought or did, not say, to hell with you, I'll do as I please. Please don't corrupt our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kimball. Newell Kimball? Excuse me, Newell Kimball?
My name is Noel Kimball. I'm husband to the lady who just kind of beat you up. Haven't you had enough of this? Haven't you had enough examples to tell you where you're really at? People don't want this. There's some people who do, but apparently it's all on the downside. But on a lighter note, let me talk to the physiology of alcohol, which hasn't really been addressed. Alcohol has a strange effect on the red corpuscles in the bloodstream. Alcohol begins a clustering of those blood cells so that oxygen cannot be carried efficiently. So the person who imbibes alcohol suffers a lack of oxygen, which has the same effect as if you had climbed the Grand without any oxygen with you. It starves the brain, and it causes a strange disruption of the normal, what you would call the morality structure or the safety structure. Removes the idea that I need to be safe, I can go ahead and do this. Thus the high-speed chases that go on and all of the outrageous things that happen under the influence of alcohol. So let us just for a moment back up and resolve not to starve our brains of oxygen. Fair enough? No? Well, go ahead with whatever you're going to do. See what happens to you. One way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Kyle Thomas.
I am opposed to alcohol in Parkville. I grew up a little while when I was younger, and I was in a car wreck. It was because of alcohol. I was pronounced dead. And the doctor, I looked over again, he said that was still alive. I'm still here for a purpose. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe this is it. Voice my opinion against alcohol. And I don't believe in alcohol around kids at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Don in Dallas Davis. Oh, okay.
My name is Dawn Davis. I moved to the Valley 6 years ago, about 6 years ago, when I married my husband, Andy Davis, and we own the Phillips Station on the street. I was born in LA, I've lived in New York, I've lived everywhere in between, from Washington to Florida, and a lot of other places, big cities mostly, small towns also. I worked probation. I was a coordinator for drug courts. I worked with the kids in the schools and ran programs for prevention inside the counties that I live in. I ran a domestic violence center for people, and I'll tell you that my jobs would have been greatly diminished if alcohol was not there. Most of our positions, most of the things that I've done have dealt with alcohol. One of the things that we've dealt with this every Thursday is we have been raising, my husband and I are raising 7 kids. 6 of them were teenagers at the same time. Our greatest deterrent for them was to come down and work at the station on Thursday night and watch all the kids that came over talking about the alcohol they were drinking because their parents were leaving it sitting in a cup next to wherever they were, and then they'd get up and go to bed. And the kids were grabbing the alcohol and watched the toddlers do it. They aren't allowed to buy anything inside the station and to take it.
Get that door closed.
And take it over to the parks idea that we make money off of this is very, very slight with the people having to maintain all of their buys inside the park. In fact, last year we noticed that you would hire people to walk around the exits and entrances and perimeters to make sure that nobody was bringing anything in to the park, food or otherwise. Nobody was even buying gum to bring into the parks. One of the other issues we have is our cleanup. That's fun. As people are leaving the park, my husband goes out to our vehicles and is caught men being on our cars. We have people staying in our hotel rooms back there. At first they think it's great, but the music goes on, and the people coming between the cabins and drinking, teenagers, whoever, whatever, peeing in cups back in there, coming into our restrooms. Last year we had a couple of women go into our restrooms, and whatever they were doing, they were drunk, and they tore the sink off the wall. 20 seconds. Okay. These are just some of the things that we've had to deal with the park, with the issues down here. Our kids now ask, but they never go down there on Thursday nights, and they don't hire other people. So if you have teenagers that want to show a lesson to, let them come down to the station on Thursday nights and watch people behave who are drunk, and do it in front of their toddlers and allow them to drink the alcohol because they're too drunk to watch. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis.